Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Ripster.
Just Ripster?
It's a Street Sharks reference because today's game is very Saturday morning cartoon.
That's very true. I did not remember any of the Street Sharks names, but I distinctly remember them, and they were fantastic.
Big Slamoo is the best one, I think.
Big Slamoo. Man, you know what was great was Happy Meal toys and shit when they were actually good. When like having fun was better than being cost effective. But I distinctly remember like Street Sharks toys.
I vaguely remember those.
Yeah, oh man, I miss Saturday morning cartoons and all the good shit
Take
that
us
came
back
from
in
that.
time. Why are we here as adults now in this terrible, terrible timeline?
Listen, everyone, I'm sure every generation thinks that they're the end, that it's the end, right? It's the worst generation ever. And I think everyone thinks they had the best childhood ever. But I'm going to say straight up right now, if you were born in the mid to late 80s, you had the best childhood ever. Pre-internet, like the best cartoons on TV, like people treated kids like their age, not like bubble wrapped and fucking everything.
80s, so.
Well, you were what, like 91? That's fucking close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we're already on a tangent. Today, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about boom. Sorry, I was tangenting while I adjusted my camera still a little bit. Kosmosaurs from Old School Publishing. This is Diogo Nogueira. This is, if you didn't guess by our tangent, kind of very Saturday morning cartoon dinosaurs. Let's see what it says here. It says, you are a dinosaur. You are a Cosmo Ranger. You are a Kosmosaur, a protector of the galaxy. You and your companions travel through the stars to help all sorts of people, planets, and organizations by preventing disasters, battling assassin robots, banishing chaos mutants from the void dimension, and facing all kinds of weird dangers. That is Kosmosaur.
Sounds fucking sick.
It does sound fucking sick. This is one we've looked at for quite a while. We are Diego's a friend of the show, fantastic creator from South America. They've been on the show before. We've definitely gone over Primal Quest. You were not here for either of those. Yeah. That was the first time Christian Meatcastle was on the show because when Exalted Funeral did their online con post-COVID, the first time I met Christian was in a Primal Quest game with Diogo at EFCon. So then Christian came on to do the review of Primal Quest with us, with me, and now they are part of the show, friend of the show, etc., etc. And we're still here loving Diogo shit. So, fun little game here. I keep holding it. I literally set up my entire fucking camera so I could do this like top-down bullshit, right? And then I fucking didn't. So this is Kosmosaurs. Let me move my microphone for just a second. Cool book, beautiful cover.
The art's great.
The art's fantastic, and I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of this because they are Eastern European. But you see the artist all the time, or I don't know. We follow them on everything that I can. But this is created by Diogo Nogueira, edited by Talisa Sain. Anyway, so Lucas, I'm going to say Kovalchuk. Fantastic, amazing, beautiful art. Just that insane kind of like bright. I don't even know what you call this style. But it's absolutely stunning. They do a lot of amazing things. I think they have a new game coming out soon on Exalted Funeral.
Ooh.
Yeah, which we'll have to remember to take a peek at. But the book is jam-packed with art, and it is just this bright, vibrant colors to the entire thing. Really, man, that is too bright for the camera to pick up. Yeah, gorgeous all the way through. Again, this is put out by Exalted Funeral. So this game, actually, I don't know if you knew this. I was following Diogo at the time. So Diogo got mugged and had all of his shit stolen, including his phone, which he did a lot of work on. So when this game came out, it came out a little bit sooner, I believe, than he had planned to try to kind of like recoup funds after like losing a bunch of shit when he got fucking mugged. So yeah, that sucks for him.
That does.
But the game's great, so that's cool. So yeah, I dig the down camera. I think I'm gonna stick with this as a thing. I don't know if you can see it on stream, but
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it
So
looks,
if you're listening to this, you're missing out.
Oh yeah, hey, so word pictures for you guys out there. So on the cover of the book, you see one, two, three. I'm gonna say these are two good guys and these are two bad guys, but you see these Dino Space Rangers with laser guns and like spacesuits. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Kosmosaurs.
God.
Fighting this like weird mutant vampire guy and this kind of like mutant dinosaur guy here in the front. You'll hear about them in the game. And then on the back, it just is continuation of the scene. So there's a couple more of the Kosmosaurs in space fighting like slime creatures and kicking some like spider creature in the face and stuff like that. Stunning art all the way through. Again, the colors are extraordinarily vibrant. That's what that is. And book's got a ribbon. Love to see that.
Ooh.
Love to see that. It's a nice little book.
It looks like a nice little book. Obviously, I'm looking at the digital copy. I don't have the physical book, but when you pulled it out, I'm like, oh, hey, that's nice. You know?
Yeah, you can get on Exalted Funeral, and we will talk about the price and where you can get exactly where you can get that stuff later. So let's why don't we?
I can see your hand.
What's up?
I can see your hand on the camera.
Boom. Now you can't. Stick that off to the side. Move my mic back a little bit so I'm not screaming into it, so our levels are okay. And let's get into this fucking game, shall we? Diogo Nogueira, Kosmosaurs, RPG about dinosaurs to protect the galaxy from evil forces. What was your what's your oh, okay. We're getting into the thing, and this is something remind me to do every time. I think disclaimer is good. I like the disclaimer. I don't know if you were a fan, but this is less important because we're going to be less critical about this game, I think, just because of the style of game it is. But just so people know, this is our disclaimer. What it is we do here on the show, we review games, and what is going to follow this statement is our opinions. Whether they are terrible or not, we do not claim to be authorities in the field.
I do.
We are. Oh, except Hunter does. I don't. So if you need anything, talk to him. He is the man, the myth, the legend. Here in the ttrpg space. But
I'm like the Scenes Village idiot, you know.
But these are just our fucking opinions. Don't get it twisted. Don't get butthurt about it. We are nitpicky. We know that. We are pedantic. We know that. That's the fucking point of the show. We pick and we poke and we prod at these games. We pick them up by the ankles and we shake them to see if something falls out. Because we want to, and because that's fun, and because, like, you know, even though we rarely ever do games that we're not huge fans of here on the show, that doesn't mean that any game is perfect. Nothing will ever get a 50. There is something that always could be, in our opinion, improved, or something that could be pointed out. So that is what we fucking do. If that's not what you're here for, if you just want like a quick little flip through, there's a billion channels that do that. You don't have to sit and watch us for 2 hours, or listen to us. Thank you, podcast listeners. There you go. So this is Kosmosaurs. What's your initial opinion? What's your take?
Like
what's your one line?
I think that this is a fun, lightweight game. It's a good entry point for playing games. I think Saturday morning cartoons, or just cartoons in general, are a thing that almost everyone can latch on to at least a little bit. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a very similar dice mechanic to another game that was written by the same person, and I like that mechanic fine. So.
Which other game?
Primal?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's Primal Quest dice, which are good.
Yeah. I mean, it's Forged in the Dark, you know.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I looked through the itch page, and I'm sure I've read this before, but didn't remember it. And right before the show started, I pointed it out.
I guess it's
was
more Forged in the Dark than Primal Quest. Yeah.
Primal Quest is kind of Forged in the Dark, but like just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a little. There's enough of a distinction though. You're more correct, Ryan, and that's the expert in this show.
Yeah. Anyway, but I was like, this feels like Primal Quest plus lasers and feelings is what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was reading this page, and it literally said that like this is the combination of two of Diogo's favorite games, which is Lasers and Feelings and Blades in the Dark, which is both John Harper, which will always astound me that one of the games that I genuinely, not games, one of the game books that I genuinely like the absolute least. I would go so far as to say I hate it. Is Blades in the Dark, but every other thing John Harper makes is like some of my favorite shit. Like, World of Dungeons is one of my favorite games of all time. Lasers and Feelings is absolutely fantastic. Like, they make so much awesome stuff, and then I just can't stand Blades in the Dark. And I don't know if you saw that there's like a new supplement to Blades in the Dark that's like another 150 pages, and I was like, there's nothing I want to read less than that.
I could cut about 80 pages out of Blades in the Dark real easy.
Yeah, I think we could cut probably about 150 pages out of it and have it be like a really solid book.
In the exact same game.
In the exact same game. It's not the game that I dislike, it's a book. I love a lot of Hordes in the Dark stuff. It's just anyway, we're not here to harp on that.
Aren't we?
Yeah. No, I try not to be. So Kosmosaurs from Diogo Nogueira. Again, I like this. This gives me, in a very like kind of distant way, gives me Mouse Ritter a little bit, in that like this is definitely kind of like an intro game you could play with people, but experienced players can still get a lot of joy from it.
I agree.
And you can really do a lot with this, just like Mouse Ritter. You can have like a fun little cute adventure, or you could have some like brutal crazy thing. Same with this, like you could have it be like fun, super no one dies like kind of thing, or you could have it, if you want to, spice it up a little bit, and they allow for that in the game. So it's cool. I enjoy it. I fucking love the in-page spreads.
They're really very cool.
They're so good, and they definitely remind me of Primal Quest. Primal Quest in space for sure. If you've seen the end pages for Primal Quest, you will get those vibes instantaneously. That this is clearly, I mean, obviously Diogo likes dinosaurs. I mean, I don't know why you would make two dinosaur games and not, but
I fuck with that. Hey, who doesn't really? I mean, if you don't like dinosaurs at least a little bit, you're lame.
Yeah, everyone had, most nerds had at least a brief dinosaur phase. I did, you know. I missed Jurassic Park obsession, but so for those in podcast land, it's a black background. There is this group of dinosaur images, kind of like amalgamated with.
I think it's incredibly dark blue. I think it's the sky.
Yeah, but at night there's no color. Anyway, regardless, it's a very dark, whatever color in the background. There's like pink dots represented, kind of like stars a little bit. There's a little bit of green digitalness on it, and then there's a very dark bluish images of these dinosaurs in this kind of like green circle that's all digitized. It looks really cool. It's dinosaurs but space, and it's awesome. It's gorgeous. The vibrancy of the colors and the contrast is fantastic. Getting into the next page. It's interesting. So this page is not in the PDF.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that page either because I read the PDF, so.
Which is interesting. I would say this page, it's just the normal inside page, like the copyright page and all that kind of stuff. It's not in the PDF. But getting into the index, this is a really interesting index page. I really like it a lot. It took me a second to read the background. It says summary in the background. Mm-hmm. But it's got this like very kind of like tall block, but like angled text that says summary. And then in the like kind of upward sweeps of the letters, it has all the different like sections, like how to play, how combat works, the page numbers in pink. And then there's these hexes of pieces of art throughout the game, kind of like across the middle of it. And then around are the people that are associated with the project. So created and written by Diogo Nogueira, edited by Talisa Sainz, illustrated by Lucas Kovalchuk, character sheet by Franchita Soto, and layout by Guilherme Gontijo, which, I mean, fucking obviously, yeah, right.
I think this is a very stylish page. You know, I mean, a lot of this book, I think, is very like, I don't want to keep saying Saturday morning cartoon, but it's very like flashy, vibrant color, stylish. I like the look of this game overall. Yeah. The layout, the colors, the art, like it really pops. It's really fantastic. And yeah, I mean,
obviously we're a huge fan of Guntijo's layout here on the show, and they fucking kill it the whole way through this.
Yeah.
So really, really great. I will say there are no hyperlinks
No,
at all.
there are bookmarks.
Are there bookmarks? No, there aren't. I have none.
Oh, what copy do you have? Do you have the ebook copy open?
No, I have the regular one.
The ebook copy has bookmarks.
Oh, interesting.
I just realized I opened up the PDF instead of the ebook as well this time, and it doesn't have it, but the ebook does in fact have bookmarks. Not really sure why the PDF doesn't have bookmarks, but
I wonder if I mean, there's no reason not to just snag that one if it's the same thing, but you know, the same thing. So let me give me 1 second here. And I will just open up the ebook version.
Yeah, there we go. Interesting, there's an ebook and PDF version.
Yeah, but the ebook version is just a PDF called ebook. It's not an ebook. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like dot like Mobi or dot like anything like that. Like, it's literally just it's just Kosmosaurs _ ebook .pdf. So it's no different.
Yeah, it's bookmarks.
Let me just go to the 2-page view here. So we'll get rid of. Well, I'll keep the other one just in case somebody. So I will say that the ebook one is significantly larger. The regular one is like 38 megabytes, and I think the ebook one is like almost 60. It's literally like close to double as far as like the size of it. I think it comes through a little bit in like the clarity of the images. Yeah. So I mean, I can tell, and I don't know if you on stream will be able to tell, but it does change. Like, the vibrancy of the colors actually pops a little bit more. The black is like a true black. The blues are a lot brighter. So,
that must be why I saw it as not black but blue.
It might be like a standard def and high def kind of thing. So, and as I scroll through, you see it takes like half a second to load real quick. So anyway, for you in podcast land, thanks for listening to us sometimes, because we forget sometimes that there's people that can't see what we're doing. And we always appreciate you. And I have this light bar across me right now that's driving me insane. I might have to get up in a second.
Luckily, they can't see it.
All right, yeah, you in podcast land can't see it. Anyway, so you are a dinosaur, you are a Cosmo Ranger, you are a Kosmosaur, a protector of the galaxy. So hey, listen, I love this logo. Like, I'm okay with the one that's like the logo on the book or whatever, like this one right here.
Yeah.
For you in podcast land, you can't tell, but I love the one that's on this page that has like a protector of the galaxy like written through it and stuff like that, and it's the same font that summary's written in. That logo fucks.
What fonts is that? That's a good font. I like it.
I don't know. You know what I love when games put like what fonts they use on the copyright pages.
That's always the best. I'm like, I'm gonna use that font for something else, but thank you for telling me what it is.
So good. You'll see that a lot on games made by layout people or editors. A lot of times you'll see that a lot more. So you and your companions travel through the stars to help all sorts of people, planets, and organizations by preventing disasters, battling assassin robots, banishing chaos mutants from the void dimension, and facing all kinds of weird dangers. I read that already. Anyway, how do you play? There's a whole page. So I will say straight off the bat, right away, this book immediately is like a 101 game, right? This is an intro game. This is like, if you've never played a game before, this is for you. So it's gonna have a lot of like the what are dice notations? How do you play a game? What is a GM stuff in it? And for this game, and I've said this over and over again, I'm not against that in games. I'm against that in games that clearly aren't for beginners.
Yeah,
so
that's the only part in the entire book that is for a beginner. Nothing else about the book is.
Yeah. Oh shit! Remind me to tell you something about Zoom.
I'll remind
when we're
you.
done. Yeah. Well, we're both gonna forget. If you go to your Zoom settings, there's a thing in your video now called portrait lighting. Check it out. how do you play? This is an RPG. We're not going to read this page. It is literally like, what is an RPG? Like, how do you do an this whole page is that. It says, what do I need? It's dice and shit. You don't need any of that. We're not going to read it. It's a beautiful page. It's a black background. There's a dino hand like throwing bone dice on the page, and it's cool. And we're going to skip that page. This is one of my biggest critiques. This spread here, pages 8 and 9, and we'll go over why in just a second. But what are the rules? Okay, it says when your character is attempting something risky. So this is the core mechanic of the entire game. First of all, thank you for putting the core rules before character creation. This is exactly how, in my opinion, and I've won Hunter over in the course of 177 episodes. We don't need all the mechanics, just enough to know how to play before character creation. And that's what they do here. So what are the rules? Basically, you roll a number of d6s equal to your appropriate attribute, and then you look at the highest result to determine the outcome, according to the following table, except the table does not follow it. Only players roll dice in this game. So it's a player-facing rolls, right? What if I roll multiple sixes? If you manage to roll multiple sixes, you get boons. You get like bonuses based on that. And there is a table saying what those kind of bonuses are, not really next to it. And then it says optional rule difficulty. This game's mechanic is pretty simple and flexible. It's intended to be used pretty much on every occasion. A test is needed, as they are only required when the situation is difficult enough. A highly capable Kosmosaur would have a chance to fail. And then next to that, below the boom
those
table,
tables, huh?
Yeah, well, no, because next to that is the roll results. On the next page is the actual optional roll difficulty chart, which makes no sense. So it took me I looked at it because so when you're actually looking at the page, for those in podcast land, the top, it's basically, if you think of the page as a quadrant, the top left is the what are the rules page, right? The bottom left says, what if I roll multiple sixes? And then under that, it says optional rule difficulty, which is something to do with difficulty. The top right is a pink box that has the, if you roll multiple sixes stuff. So it says cause additional effects appropriate to the task, reduce the time needed to accomplish the task by half, secure an extra d6 to add to your next task roll. They call it a task roll there, but that's like the only time I see them use like task roll through the entire thing, because they say test a lot of times through other things. Add a new narrative element to the story appropriate to the character's background, and it switches fonts like halfway through. And then below that, it is the mixed success guide for your rolls, which on the bottom right of the page, which go with the rules on the top left of the page. So none of the tables that we're talking about are next to or following
where they're referred
to. But there's 4 different types of success or failure here. The first is a disastrous failure. It's what it sounds like. That's on a 1. 2 to 3 is a regular failure, so that sucks for you. 4 to 5 is a partial success. The attempted task succeeds, but at a cost. And then 6 is a full success. So the point of the game is to, long story short, again, very Forged in the Dark, you have attribute scores, right? And if that attribute is 3, you would roll 3 d6s. You would look at the mixed success table. Everything from 4 up is at least a partial success or a full success. If you get a 6, it's a success. If you get multiple 6s, you get bonuses such as another d6 on your next roll, or granting an ally d6s. Super simple, super easy, very slim Forged in the Dark. Like it. I love it. I like dice. I like dice pools. I know you're a big fan. The only thing better than a dice pool is a dice pool with a mixed success. Gotta love that shit. So then on the next page, we see the difficulty, the optional rule difficulty table. And it says you subtract 1d6 from a player's dice pool in very difficult tasks, subtract 2d6 in extremely difficult, and 3d6 in almost impossible tasks. So that's optional. It says, however, blah, 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 when not to roll dice. There's a whole section here on when not to roll dice. Basically, it says that Kosmosaurs are really fucking good at what they do. So unless it's like for the most part, they just get to do the thing. Like, you don't have to have them like,
Right.
they're going to climb over this wall. No, but they're going to scale a 500-foot wall. Yes, roll. Like, you're super badass, like, Kosmosaur Space Ranger dudes. Like, you can do cool stuff without having to roll. I do like this page, but I don't understand why, and this is what I would do for these 2-page spreads. See how there's some space, like, on the second page spread in the bottom?
Yeah, like the bottom right.
Right. So if they would have just swapped the mixed success table underneath what are the rules and then just move down what if I rolled multiple sixes, so then part of optional rule difficulty would be on the next page, they could just move the next thing down and there'd be enough for all of it, and you could actually have the table next to where it goes, and it would make a lot more sense. Because even if you just switched optional difficulty in that table, then the next thing after it would at least be the table, not a different table. So it's just a very weird spread here of 3 basically tables that are not next to the rules listed for them. So anyway,
I think you can put all of the words on one page and say refer to the tables on the opposite page, and then the next page is all the tables.
You could even have like an ABC.
I've also been reading a lot of OSE recently, so
there you go. That'll do it. How combat works. This is a cool picture here. Again, I genuinely do not like pages, right? Spreads. I like pages when I read my PDFs. But I will say the fonts in this are pretty big.
Amazingly readable. Yeah, they're large. It's a lot of it's like black on white or like white on pink, or they're very legible.
Mm-hmm. And there's very little kind of for each page. Like if you this is like a 75-ish page book, I think, that you could do in 35 pages if you with less art and just doing like 2 columns. So I think they did a really good job of spacing out, spreading it out, making it very readable, making it like, I think there is definitely a thought to like younger audiences potentially reading this and not being overwhelmed per page, but also getting like cool art to pull them in. Like this one, for example, there's like this Kosmosaur in the bottom right doing this like badass pose, shooting this big fucking laser gun in the top left of the next page of this like weird space wizard thing that's got like eyeballs coming out of its hat but no face. It's so cool. So great page, and there's like 1 paragraph on 2 paragraphs on one side and like a table on the other, and that's the entire 2-page spread. But it is how combat works. Combat happens in turns, with each participant allowed to move around and take actions. Like normal, it's a game. Who acts first? The GM determines who acts first according to the circumstances. However, if they want to, they can roll, and there is a die roll on the next side. Everything's going to be 1, and then 2 to 3, 4 to 5, and 6 through the entire game. So I don't need to see that at a time. So it's a roll table. There's frozen, which means the PCs are surprised, slower. The enemies are faster than the PCs and act first. They're simultaneous. The PCs and enemies act at the same time. That means their effects happen together, which I don't like that.
Yeah. I never do that, honestly. Like that, I understand it in theory, but for me, I'm just like, they're going to resolve
in practice. In practice, 1 still has to go first. You know what I mean? Yes, unless you're just like, fuck it. It's like we're shuffling the deck. So you go, like back and forth. And then 6 is faster. I would just honestly, like, I like that the tables are consistent, whatever, but realistically, just do like Mark Borg and like 1 through 3 enemies go first, 4 through 6 players go first, and just be done with it. Next page. How do I attack and how do I defend? Cool little 2-page spread, 1 on black, 1 on white, with this like cute little fucking dinosaur, Kosmosaur, like
peeking out.
Dude, I love that he's peeking around like the table though too. Like it's so good. So how do I attack? When you attack, you say what you are doing, what weapon are you using, and what effect you are aiming for. The GM determines how dangerous the action is and what effect it can accomplish, whether that attack can be mortal or not, and if anything makes the task more difficult, then you roll. I will say one of the things I note throughout the entire book is there's a lot of typos. I'm not going to point them all out, but there's definitely there's a couple of big ones where like whole words are missing. There's sometimes where there's like an extra space. It is what it is. I know, like I said, they do go rush this a little bit to get it out, but it's just something we noticed. Again, it's not a big deal. But that's what I did this whole spiel earlier about how we're fucking pedantic about shit. So I'm gonna be and say that there are a decent amount of typos throughout this book. That's the one thing I did notice.
We warned y'all ahead of time.
Listen, we're disclaiming now. I disclaimed. All right. How do you attack? It's the same. It's the same test as everything. Like you roll your 2d6s and stuff like that. If you have stuff that can help you, it might change the number of things you can do. So, again, there's a mixed success table. There's a fumble on 1. A miss on 2 to 3, a hit on 4 to 5, and a solid hit on 6. So the hit is that your attack, your opponent causes 1 damage. That's it, just 1 damage. But you open yourself up for their attacks, reducing your next defend test by minus 1d6. So if you get a 4 through 5, you get to hit, but you reduce your next time you can defense. You lose a d6 next time. And on a solid hit, you attack decisively, cause 1 damage, and no one gets to hit you back. I like that it's just 1 damage and that's it. Like you're done.
Yeah,
like
very simple,
super
easy
clean.
to do. I also I love this format of 1d6 mixed success. I think it works really well. I know we said it earlier, but I think in combat still, like the whole partial success on a hit, I always really enjoy that. It makes combat feel like you're trading blows, you know?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I mean, it's simultaneous, right? So like you could,
right,
like in this instance, right, you could just have the enemy immediately hit back so that you don't have to remember that you lost a 1d6, right? So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we said this much, like I don't mind PBTA games, but I really dislike Apocalypse World. I really like Forest and Dark games, but I really dislike Blades in the Dark. It's just I think early PBTAs had this problem of like over explaining by like 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, I like the game Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, it's the book.
I like the game. I think. Yeah, we won't get into it anymore. But yeah, I agree with you.
Go listen to our episode. How do I defend? When your opponent attacks you, you defend, right? You say what you're going to do and do stuff. There's a lot of cool words in this. Like you will try to defend yourself however you can. You can dodge the laser blades of the dark matter assassins and dismiss the false accusations of the corrupt alien diplomat and the Academy of Kosmosaurs. Because we're going to get into it. It's not just fighting. You use the same kind of like attack and defense for social situations, which is fantastic.
I love it. It very much reminds me of Cyber Metal 2012, where it's just like it's just conflict that you're resolving, whatever that looks like. And I really appreciate like the open format of that. It keeps you from being locked into like this is a combat game or this is not a combat game. It's just whatever conflict you're trying to overcome.
Yeah, I wish a lot more games would do that. Like, you know, we've talked all the time about 5e and how it's a combat game because there's just rules for combat and being like, oh, but like there aren't like there aren't any social rules. So you can do whatever you want.
It's a social game because there are no rules for social, so you can do whatever you want.
That's stupid. And I'm gonna explain. Give me 10 seconds because I'm gonna explain why that's stupid. Because like if you don't, we talked about this in another ship review. A thing can be missing from a system, but if you acknowledge that it is missing and explain that it's missing for a reason, it becomes part of the system. If you do not acknowledge the missing thing at all, it is just a missing thing. It is not part of the system because without acknowledging it, without explaining why it is there, right, there is no intent in it. There is no death of the author. This isn't literature. This is an instruction manual. If you are missing an instruction, it is just missing. Like, you can't have like an instruction manual for how to put a refrigerator together and like not have instructions for how to put the door on and just be like, you can put it on however you want. Like, that's not how fucking instruction manuals work, people. Come on. So anyway, I really love the conflict thing and how you can have social rules without having to define social rules separate from other conflict. Yeah. It's fucking fantastic.
I will say that my refrigerator has like the lifted, like the event door kind of like thing.
It goes up.
I put the hinges on top. So
yeah, gotcha.
It's really hard to get into sometimes.
You know what? A lot of people don't fucking know that like almost 100% of refrigerators out there, you can switch which day the door opens if you want. It's just attached at the top. You can just like stick it out and put it on the other side. If your refrigerator opens in a way you don't like, trust me, there's a way you can just make it open the other way. There you go. So when your opponents attack you, you defend, right? So it's the same shit. It's the exact same type of roll. There's the four variances. There's you step into the attack, which means you actually walk right into it. You take the shot right to the fucking face, and you take 2 damage, which is crazy that the opponent can always do more damage than you can do. They hit you for 1 damage. 4 to 5 is a close miss. You avoid the attack. You get distracted, however, and the next time you defend, you do it with a minus 1d6 penalty, which sucks for you. And then 6 is you miss and avoid the attack completely. I do like that the only like the solid hit, like the total miss, like it's just 6s. Like,
yeah,
and the vast majority where you're going to get is like 2 to 5s throughout the entire thing, which of course that's the core of the system, but it's really great. How damage works. It says when you suffer damage, you mark it on an appropriate attribute. And you only have 2. All physical stuff is for Soar, and all intellectual stuff is for Cosmo, in a very
so
lasers and feelings kind of way.
I love it. It's really good.
It's so good. I wish they would have flipped that though, so it said Cosmo and then Soar instead of Soar and then Cosmo.
Yeah. It is weird that they didn't do that right there. But I mean, I guess they just referred to physical damage.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I guess they didn't. Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just damage. But anyway, so in very much, obviously, this is the lasers and feelings part, and we haven't talked about it yet, but now we get to. You have 2 stats, and that's it. You have Cosmo and Soar, and it is brain stuff and body stuff, and like that's it. Dope. How are you taken out? How do you want to get taken out, buddy?
Oh, I'd like
Saturday
to be taken
night?
out to Saturday night, a nice dinner, lobster.
Lobster is fucking peasant food. What are you talking about?
Oh, dude, I love me a lobster, bro.
Lobster's gross. Crab is far superior.
Arguably crab is in fact superior.
Bro, lobster sucks so bad and used to be so prevalent that there was a prison riot because the prisoners were tired of getting fed lobster every day. It was literally peasant food that the bourgeois like adopted and took on themselves as they normally do to steal things to make themselves feel rich. But yeah, lobster is very stringy. Crab is far superior. Odds and ends, yes. Crab is where it's at. Except I'm vegan and I don't eat sea spiders anymore. So how are you taken out? This is basically like if you hit 0 and you're knocked out. How does this work for you, right? If your Kosmosaur takes enough damage, they can be taken out. So I think there's a bit of a language barrier in some of this stuff throughout too. It says if you even have more damage marks than points in your attribute, and I think it would read a little bit cleaner. It says if you have even more damage marks than points in your attribute, you need to make an attribute test, which is like a third different way to call the test that you do in the game. Task, test, attribute,
Wow, I didn't even realize. The task one, I didn't realize until you read it out loud. I was like, oh, it says task.
Yeah. But so if you have even more damage marks than points in your attribute, you need to make an attribute test, reducing the number of dice you roll by how many marks you have over your attribute score. The result will be determined in accordance with the following table. So what that means is, say that you have 3 in attribute, right? And at the end of the round or whatever, you have 5 damage because maybe like you were right at 3 and the last one, like you had the 1 and a critical. So that means you're at 5, but your attribute's at 3, right? So you would roll 3 dice, but because you're at 5, that's 2 over your attribute. You have to remove 2 of those dice, so you only get to roll 1. And then you would look at this table. Again, a mixed success table. On a 1, you're completely out. That could be dead or however you want it to be. 2 to 3, you're taken out, and you're out of the scene until someone comes to help you. 4 to 5, you're not okay. It's a close call, but you get distracted, and the next time you defend, you get a minus 1d6 penalty. I like the consistency through. And then on 6, you just buckle up and keep going. You just suck it up, and you're good to go. And that's it. Yeah. So being taken out, like it says, being taken out can be a bunch of different things. If it's a Saturday morning cartoon, how many times do the Street Sharks die? Like
right.
Never.
Yeah. It's a thing. Like it kind of depends on the context for your table and how you guys are playing this game. But it does give a lot of examples. Like didn't take out doesn't necessarily mean dying, but
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I do like how it talks about in social conflict. It gives an example. Like in the Senate, you may have been so utterly humiliated that you can't summon enough strength to speak, or no one might be willing to listen to you again. That's the way that that works. I really like.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy using combat mechanics in social situations. It's just it feels nice. So there's a whole page.
Those are social mechanics. So
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, listen, because in real life, that's about as much combat as we usually get. So can my Kosmosaur die? There's a whole question here. Yeah, yeah, if you want them to, if not, just whatever the table wants. I do like this scene here though, with like the kind of like Brontosaurus Kosmosaur like saluting
the
yeah. The space
coffin,
casket.
the space casket, yeah.
Yeah, getting launched out in the window. It's dope. How to avoid damage. This is one of the parts where like we haven't pointed out a lot of the typos. There's a completely missing word here though in this one. So it says you can avoid damage by sacrificing some aspects of your character. So this is line. It just starts with under like a lowercase. You would take damage. I think it's supposed to say like if you would take damage, but the if is missing completely. There's just like period, and then it just starts another sentence with like an under like a lowercase y o u.
Is it the same way in the book?
Pages is 15. I would be shocked if it wasn't.
You know,
I would be.
Well, sometimes we're pulling PDF stuff and we're like, oh, there's a typo here, and then I pull up in the book, or you do, and it's like, oh, it's not there. So.
Well, it's not even the same page number in the book. It's page 13 in the book.
Oh.
But it's still in there.
Oh well. Yeah. I tried.
Regardless, again, we talked about the circumstances in which this game came out, so like we're like yeah, and we know it came out a little quicker. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a second edition of this with a little bit of expansion and stuff like that. But regardless, let's see what we got here. So so basically, how it works is you can reduce physical damage by discarding a piece of equipment, and it's just not anything. Like the way equipment works in this game, we'll get to a little bit later. But there's things that are significant equipment, which is important stuff. And basically, you can sacrifice one of these important pieces of equipment to just not take the damage, right? And then if that's a physical attack. If it's a mental attack, you can literally sacrifice your capital K knowledge to avoid it. So basically, like, you will forget an important thing, right? And it leaves you confused and forgetful, but you can continue forward without taking that damage. And it can be recovered. The gear and the knowledge can be recovered because, like, next time you're able to go somewhere, you can buy new gear. You can just get new gear. And next time you're able to, like, rest and study up, you can like remember the thing that you forgot. So it's not permanent. So it is very lenient.
I like this here, but boy, yes, do I love it when we get to spaceships.
Yeah,
because it's pretty much the same, but kind of.
Yeah. The spaceship is an interesting page.
I'm into the idea. We'll get there, but.
Yeah. It gives me a tiny bit of Necronautilus, a tiny bit, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. I could see it.
Yeah. So, who is my Kosmosaur? This is starting to hit character creation. Do you want to go over this one, or you want me to keep going?
Yeah. Hey.
First of all, the art on this page fucks like so hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love so there's the same Brontosaurus guy, but he's got like a bazooka gun in his like yellow suit. There's the same that's the same Tyrannosaurus, because if you look at like the thing in his hand, it's the same thing of the guy that was like popping up from behind the table.
He has.
And then this guy at the bottom rocking this like space scooter situation is so cool. But what's interesting is like I know it's the Brontosaur tail in the background, but to me it almost looks like a fin coming out of the top of the suit.
I guess I can kind of see that.
Yeah. Anyway, really, really, really fantastic spread of like 3 of the Kosmosaurs you see frequently throughout the book. So anyway, who is your Kosmosaur?
Hey, you're a dinosaur in space, exploring, being soldiers against evil. That's what your Kosmosaur does. So what defines them? Pretty much you need to pick a name, a species, a role, and an attribute. And these are all things that have pretty fun role tables. For name, Yeah, choose a cool name. There is a table of names, um, but there's no real rule for determining names. It says, but you can use a cool rule table, which I'm always a fan of.
Oh,
Do you you want
I
to
was
roll a
just gonna
name,
say.
Ryan?
Oh hell yeah, I want to roll a name.
Why don't you pull up
Let
that
me
really cool digital roller you got? Yeah, show it off.
because it's space themed. I'm gonna rock with the digital roller here. My nice little. You can't hear it because I maybe you can hear it if I do it while I'm talking, but the little clickety clackities. I love this thing.
Nope, nothing.
Nothing. So that NVIDIA broadcast. Thank you for cutting that shit. That's not my voice. That's why my mic can be right next to my clickety clackety keyboard. So all right. So it's a D66 table. Which makes sense because all you have D6s for the game. So I will roll, I guess 2D6s because this has a D2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20, and 100. So 4, 44.
44.
Boulder.
The Boulder.
That's me,
That's close to my
Boulder.
dog's name, which is Balder. Only a few letters off. Boulder, the dinosaur. So you also pick a species, what kind of dinosaur you are. Choose one, keep in mind when you're playing the game. Whenever your character is doing something that their species would be particularly good at, they add a d6 to the roll. And whenever your character is doing something their species would be particularly bad at, you take a negative or a 1d6 penalty to the roll. A very consistent rule that we will see.
Consistent, yep. Okay, so I got.
Is there a species table? Yeah, go ahead and roll for that.
Yeah. 1, 2, 12. Albertosaurus.
I gotta Google it real quick. Let's see what an Albertosaurus. Some person's listening, like, dude, you don't know what an Albertosaurus is?
You know what Parasaurolophus is? I mean, come on.
Okay, cool. It's like it's a dinosaur. It's a bipedal predator with short arms and 2 fingers on each arm. So
yeah,
I would say anything using your hands dexterously, you're probably going to take a 1d6 penalty on those actions because you got little tiny hands.
He's got short little tiny hands. Let me. I'll throw this for those in those in the in podcast land. You're not going to get see this. Guess what you can do? You're probably sitting on your phone. Fucking Google it. Save image. Albert. And then I can throw this bad boy up on the screen and you'll get to see my buddy here. Woo, look at that. There's Albert there for you.
Wow. Yeah. Got a little outfit on him, man. You know, you gotta drop that into Photoshop and let Photoshop's great AI generative tool make an outfit.
Fuck right off. Listen, if you use AI, eat a dick. Not in a fun way.
Moving forward, because there is another part to your character, that is their role. And that's really just the function that they fulfill within their squad. These are things like navigator, engineer, pilot, spy. And once again, when your role is would make you particularly good at a thing, you get a bonus 1d6 to your roll. And if it's something that your roll would be particularly bad at, you get that 1d6 penalty again.
I'm excited. There's some good shit on here.
There is some great shit on here. Actually, all of these tables are really enjoyable.
They're so good.
I think I would like to sit and just Google more dinosaurs maybe after this.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, ambassador is cool. I mean, you can be nurse, scout, tactician, time traveler, xenologist, warp engineer, welder, commando, robotics officer. So let's see what I get. 1, 6, 16, explorer. So I am Boulder the explorer.
Boulder.
The Albertosaurus. That's me. All right.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Moving forward, so we have 2 attributes. That is Cosmo and Soar. Very funny. Boom. Cosmo is anything intellect or social based, and Soar is anything physical. To flesh out your Cosmosaur even more, this is, I'm sorry, what are they good at? To flesh out your Cosmosaur even more, come up with 2 things they're good at. This could be a skill, proficiency, or profession, talent, craft, or anything relevant. Whenever your character is doing something that they're good at, they add 1d6. And inversely, what are they bad at? Now choose something that they're bad at. I love the one that they give an example right here, like math. Like, yeah, you're a spacefaring Tyrannosaurus Rex, but fuck it, bro. It is hard to do addition in your head.
Yeah. Can't do math. Listen, they can't see their fingers to count. You know what I mean?
That's so true. They can't
Little
count their
arms.
fingers.
Yeah. I think you skipped how many points you get in the attributes up there at the top paragraph.
Oh, I totally did, and I am sorry. So backtracking, I'm sorry, to your 2 attributes. You get 5 points to assign to each of them. Each point providing 1 die. What was that? What did you do?
Oh, it was just me saying 5. Like, I was just saying.
You held up 2 hands. I was like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't say 10, buddy.
Well, yeah. So, it said 5 to each. I was like 5 to each. And I was like, wait, you only get 5. You don't get 10 points. So yeah, it's 5 across
to
both.
assign between the 2.
Yeah.
These each are directly. God, I cannot think of words today. However many points you have in a stat is how many die you can use from that stat. 1 point is 1 die. That's how this game works. Damn it.
And I like that it's 5 specifically because, like, first of all, like 2 or 3 is a great number of die to roll, right? But you're always gonna be better at one thing then because, like, you can't even split. So you're either gonna have the best you could do is 3-2 or 2-3 to get as close as possible, or you could go 4-1.
Does it say that there's a minimum of points?
My assumption, I don't think it does. My assumption would be that, like, you have to have at least 1, right? Because you have to be able to roll
everything in Soar. Literally, I'm playing just a dinosaur, like completely unable to speak or function other than just being a gigantic lizard monster.
So just a regular dinosaur, like
just a regular dinosaur.
But there's always that one, right? Whenever those things are playing like animal-y things, there's one that's like, oh, that's the one that's like pretty much just the animal still. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Pluto's still just a dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did what are you good at, what are you bad at, and now we're gonna do what gear are they carrying? Your Kosmosaur gets a number of significant items equal to their soar score because it's how big and strong you are and how much you can hold in your little tiny hands. Whenever your character is doing something in which their item they have, their gear would be particularly useful, that will also give you a 1d6 bonus to their roll. Very consistent, very simple rule set. It really is just, it's d6s all the way down. You get bonuses or you get penalties. That's this entire game. And I love it. Yep. Remember, you can sacrifice these significant items to avoid damage. These are the things that you can sacrifice.
Yep. So that means, like, if you have a soar of like 3, you get 3 cool things, and if you don't want to take damage, you're just like, boom, there goes my fucking laser gun. You know.
Yeah. What do they know? This is another one. What is there something that your Kosmosaur is specifically knowledgeable about? Ancient Roman history, blah 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 blah. Once again, if your knowledge would be particularly useful in something, you get a 1d6 addition to your roll. And also, once again, a little side note. Remember, it says right here on the bottom that this is the knowledge that you can sacrifice to avoid taking damage. All right. What else? So you have pronouns, personality, appearance, and interests. These are all just fleshing out your character overall. No need to really deep dive each of those. You know those words and what they mean. But you should do this for your characters when you make them, so you have a better, full fleshed out Saturday morning cartoon character. And then we get to maybe my favorite art piece. What's going on here?
So first of all, one of the reasons that we're looking at it in spreads instead of pages is because of how, like, basically all of the spreads go across 2 pages in this, and which is fucking awesome. It's gorgeous that, like, literally every single page, almost every single page, there's something going across the middle, so that in every spread you get art across. Like, very few don't. This one, even if it's a little bit, it still does. But you're right. Like, I think that blue thing is just like a giant ship.
Yeah, I was like, is it a hologram? And this dinosaur is this Kosmosaur is watching ships leave and like a station. What is going on? I don't know.
Well,
I love
well,
this piece. I think it's fucking cool.
I think the Cosmosaur is just there, and there's just like a representative of like representation of like what's happening like outside, just kind of like superimposed in like his like background. I don't think the ship and him are in like the same space at the same time. I think he's just there, and the background's representative of what's happening outside. But like the little like other ships like scooting around with like their little pink like thing, like it's so cool.
Oh yeah. How the hell did they get better? Yeah, this is an action-packed adventure game with heroes that go around the galaxy, do amazing things. While doing so, your Kosmosaurs can change. They can learn new things, get better at what they do, and even discover they are not so good at some activities. This game uses a very simple yet entertaining system for experience and advancement for characters as outlined below. Oh yeah, go ahead.
This
it's a different spread.
Fucks.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I love this one.
It reminds me of something. I've lost it.
Neon's bullets in the neon sun. Like it's got a very like Dirk Detweiler-esque kind of vibe to it.
That's a great game. After each successful mission, each player will file a report made by their character. And I would have them email me this report. I have like, it needs to be a 2-page report. And you email me about that.
Give me a mission log. Yeah.
Captain's log, star date. So they'll do a little debrief, from this report, the character can create another entry in their character's list of things they are good at. So by talking about the adventures you just went through, the trials and tribulations, they can pick contextually from that a thing that they are now good at. They create, if they create new things they are bad at from the report. Wait, hold on. I misread the part. Wait, no, I read that right.
Yeah.
If they create a new thing they are bad at from the report, they may try to improve either their Cosmo or source score by 1, rolling a d6 and obtaining a result higher than their current score. Very nice and simple.
I love.
I don't know why I got lost on that page so much, but
so they may try. So I love that you're really choosing how you want to advance after each session.
Yeah.
Where, like you're either advancing like the things that you know and are good at. So like when that thing comes up again, you might just get you literally get another die to roll, right? Or you can try to increase your core stat, which gives you another die to roll, and you just have to roll higher than. I mean, I think early on, if you go 4-1, then of course you're gonna roll to get higher on your stat. But once you hit like 3 or 4, like you're gonna have to really decide, like, is it worth it to try to roll a 5 or 6 to increase your stat, or are you just gonna increase the amount of stuff that you're good at and have this like whole list of like things that you've learned from the way. There's so many times where like I talk about specifically like when you can explain how a game works as much as you fucking want, right? But a system is what it does, and the rules are gonna dictate how the game is played. So if you want something to be a certain way, make it ingrained in the rules on how to do it, not just how you're going to explain it, because people can ignore the shit that you say, right? This specifically says like you can learn, you can grow, you can improve. So the entire way that the system does advancement is by literally like actually getting better at the things. So you're literally learning new things, or taking a bad thing and increasing a stat. Like it is ingrained in the system that you are learning and growing, and that's so fucking cool, even in such like a simple little way.
I could not agree. Continuing on this same spread, it starts talking about ships. What are ships like? So your ships are pretty easy, right? Your ships are defined by 3 things that they're good at and 1 thing it's bad at. Whenever it takes damage in the form of like, it's almost like the gear that your Kosmosaur gets, right? You take damage in your ship and you lose 1 thing they're good at for each damage they take. At a point where the amount of damage you take surpasses the things you are good at, it's broken, and now every additional damage it suffers imposes that 1d6 dice penalty on rolls made with it. If it takes twice as much damage as it has things it's good at, so 6, it explodes.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope your Cosmosaurs can get out in time.
Yeah,
Also,
I do like that. It's like hope you can leave. I like the
um,
idea of like the ship is iconic in a way that it's not statted, but it's just like, yeah, my ship is really good at this, this, and that. Also, it kind of breaks down occasionally, you know?
so here's the thing, like, make a ship real quick. 3 things the ship is good at and 1 is bad at. Hit me
Oh
with it.
yeah, the red scorpion, because we're gonna Saturday morning cartoon, right?
Right.
It's got a really good laser.
Okay, so shooting, yeah, it's great laser.
It's very good at hiding.
Okay, so stealthy. Yeah.
And then a third thing, it's really fast.
Okay, boom. So you got a super fast ship that's able to hide very well. Let's say it's got like a Wonder Woman's kind of stealth mechanic thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but when you use it, you can still see through it. So if we're like sitting on the toilet, it's just us on the toilet.
It's just you, yeah.
And
like the poo is like the dino poo is coming through the thing. And then you said it's super fast, right? So what's the thing it's bad at?
Oh, I think it's mechanically unreliable.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So great. I will say, I think this book all the way through is really good, well put together. There are a couple times where I wish there was a little bit more examples, and this is one of those times where I think for an intro person, because this is very clearly written for an intro game or like a younger audience, having some examples here of things that your ship could be good at, like it can shoot really well, it's super fast, like, because you could have said like well, it's got bad armor, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty weak to hit to whatever and stuff like that. Because to me that would make sense for like what the minus 1d6 is in, because it's like, oh, it sucks. It can take a lot of damage. That's why it's fast and stealthy, because it's not really like power. It's not really like, you know, beefy and bulky and stuff like that.
Yeah, I almost went with that. So
yeah, but like there's a whole, I love the design off to the side, but there's a whole section here where it could have been like examples and stuff like that. And I'm surprised. I was gonna say I'm surprised it's not a picture of a ship, and then I looked at it again. I'm like, oh, that is kind of an abstract picture of a ship. Yeah. But I wouldn't have minded. There's like 1 or 2 other spots I think I remember where I was like, I totally get this, but like for the intro game that it is, a couple more examples would have been nice. But like you said, I love this. I love that it's more abstract, and the bad guys when we get to them are the same way. So it's weird that it's like so intro, but also has these like kind of like more quasi quote unquote advanced things of just like being very broad and vague.
I think that even still, the kind of more broad things here are still easy to latch on to.
Yes,
you know, I don't
agree.
think people, especially people who'd be willing to play a tabletop game that is like a Saturday morning cartoon game, would be unfamiliar with like the idea, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. So, what is the adventure? So, a lot of the rest of the book. So, we're on page 29 in the book, and as I said, it's roughly 70 71 pages ish, 71, 72. A lot of the next section, and we'll cruise through it kind of quickly, is GM stuff. It's writing adventures, it's how the bad guys work and stuff like that. So for the most part, what you need to play, you just read in like the first 29 pages. So this really kind of breaks apart to the GM section.
And a lot of it's really good roll tables. Like they're very fun, and they're great sparks for ideas.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll have you roll through some of these as we go, just to get some examples. I really love the art page on the left there of this like person at like multiple screens of like in the spaceship with like images and stuff. So it says, what is the adventure? In Cosmosaurs, you and your friends take on the role of an elite team of special agents that defend the galaxy, etc., etc. So what does the GM do? The GM is the host, rules arbiter, director, and facilitator. And then it goes on to talk some good intro stuff about GMs, right? Additionally, they arbitrate the rules, etc., blah, blah, blah. There's like a whole page talking about what that does. How does the GM prepare a mission? So we'll cruise through that a little bit. I love the top here, like they're going over schematics and stuff. So one of them's got like a cup of coffee like held in his tail.
His tail, yeah.
So, how does the GM prepare a mission? So, creating a mission can seem daunting, but it can be done in a few simple steps, and they go through it. So, first, you come up with an objective. So, the first thing a GM does is to determine what the mission will be, and there's a bunch of stuff for that. And then there's a D66 table for inspirations for objectives. So, roll for what is the mission objective?
63, which I think is actually a really interesting one. Escape pursuers.
Ooh, that is a really good one. I like that a lot. That's the kind of one where you could just be like, it's like, oh, we're starting now. It's like, woo, klaxons are going off, like, like you're like, this guy's behind you, go. People are like, oh, what the fuck? I love 66. Roll twice and combine. That one's great. There's a lot of really good ones in here. Finding a rare specimen, cool, banishing a supernatural creature, mapping a new region. Like, the tables are really, really fucking good. And of course, I love that Weekly Scroll pink background going on back there.
Shout out.
So next, it's the antagonist. So the greatest Kosmosaurs adventures have the greatest villains. Quite often the characters will be facing different antagonists. And it says a good antagonist can make a memorable mission. Think about all the great stories you remember for years and years. I love it. It alludes to some big ones. The Dark Lord with a breathing apparatus who strangles people with the force of their mind. And it goes on. But the D66 table spread across 2 pages. So hit me with another roll.
I got 12. Avoid sorcerer.
Dope.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Cool. A lot of these are really fucking good though. The vampiric robot, malignant spaceship, the corrupt bureaucrat,
evil clones of Kosmosaurs. It's just your party, but evil.
Yeah. Oh, there are evil clones. There's a whole group of evil clones though. Yeah, a savage cosmic beast, failed scientific experiment, and it's great. The next is locations. Location is everything. That's what they say, right? Yeah. So, cool piece of art here about a base. It basically talks about villains have cool layers. So, what does a villain have, right? So, I love the skeleton on the left, which is very clearly like Galactus. I thought
that I was like, is that? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I will say I love the art and everything all the way through. The 2 pages at the top of page, the 39 kind of look like they got kind of like stuck there and forgotten. Like they kind of like don't really fit a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But so roll D66 for me for the location for our villain.
I rolled a 44, a dying sun's core.
Dope.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So what did we get so far? The villain is a void sorcerer. Their lair is a dying sun's core. Nice. Our objective is escaping pursuers. So they might have sent some bad guys at us. Maybe we were passing the sun. They sent some guys out from the core. They're following us. And then we get the supporting cast. I love the fucking Tamagotchi that's on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And the guy at the bottom who's very much is that Harlock? Is that what the guy reminds me of?
Oh, what is that? Is it
Captain Harlock?
Captain Harlock is the name, I think.
Oh, yes. It's 100% Captain Harlock. There's a Captain Harlock. It's even got like the emo swoop and stuff. Yeah. Love the references throughout this. And the guy in the bottom right, the red shirt.
Oh yeah.
So good. Yeah. Live long and prosper. So the supporting cast, these are NPCs and interesting people, the myriad of people that you can find that have goals and things like that too. So these are people you can run into. So hit me with the D66 for that.
Oh yeah. I rolled a 25, an inquisitive autonomous robot.
Oh, dope. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one. Yeah. There's a lot of really good ones. The bon vivant pop star, the fallen warlord, a local noble, good stuff. Really, really cool. And then the complication. So life is full of surprises, and so are the Kosmosaur missions. They never work according to plan. Complications can pop up. So what are the complications? Again, spread across 2 pages for some reason.
I rolled a 41. 41. It's a trap.
It's a trap, which is funny because like obviously the thing in the bottom is the Star Wars reference, but in the bottom right it says it's a, and the very next page it says trap, 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 with a really awesome like scorpion alien thing.
What's funny is that the table below it is actually the end of the table we were just on too.
That's
like,
what I said.
It's such a funny breakup.
Yeah, it's wait a minute, it's funny because 51 is also it's a trap. They did it's a trap twice.
Oh, hey, I mean,
yeah. Hey, double is the traps. And then it's a trap is like written all over the page. But that's why I said like it's spread across 2 pages for some reason. Like I feel like they could have just done it if they would have just like moved the art from the bottom.
51 is budget cuts.
No,
41 is a trap.
If we're looking at the ebook together, look at the screen.
No way. I'm not looking at the ebook. I'm looking at the PDF.
Ooh. So it's
51's budget cuts on mine. What's 41 on yours?
It's a trap. That's why I said it's on there twice.
Oh, so it is twice on yours. So they changed it on the one I'm looking at.
All right. So let's look at the what is the page in Acrobat?
44. Oh, a page in Acrobat is also 44 actually.
Oh yeah, budget cuts. Oh, the table is entirely different. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So let me scroll this down a little bit.
Why?
So on this side, 51 is it's a trap. 52 is someone playing both sides. Ancient ruin discovered. Location is taboo. Another conflict. Cosmic disaster. And on this one, it's budget cuts, low on fuel, computer malfunctioning, antagonists with limitless resources, weapons break, engine explosion. It's an entirely different table. What about the previous one, I wonder?
Wait, why is it entirely? It's not even one that's changed. It's
the entire thing. Yeah, because the previous table is the same across both, but the next one is literally every single one is completely different.
That's so interesting.
It's really interesting. I believe the ebook one must be the newer one because 66 is roll twice. Which is the same as the previous one, but it's really weird that they decided to do that. But it's also weird then that they just like must have missed that they put it's a trap on it twice. So I don't know which one's the final one.
We'll never know. Stay tuned.
Yeah, because I don't know. Because here's the thing: I think maybe I got this twice because I bought the ebook one might be the one from Exalted because I bought the book, which means I got the PDF.
Right.
But when you get the book, you don't get all the PDF shit, which is super fucking annoying. But I know I had previously bought it on itch because I have like the download page. So I think the ebook one was probably the one from Exalted and the PDF one was the one from the itch page. So I assume the ebook one would be the newest one because that's the one they decided to send to print. But anyway,
probably.
So then the next is the reward, still coming with the adventure. It says, what do they get for all of their hard work? So roll me a D66. I like the image on the next page. First of all, it's the very much like the Predator, Arnold and Carl Weathers handshake, but it looks like it almost looks like a Ninja Turtle. It is a Ninja Turtle. You can see the shell with a Kosmosaur. And there's also like a kid who's like in front
clearly
of the TV
watching Kosmosaurs.
Yeah. So what'd you get?
Blessing of a Star Monarch.
Ooh, nice. That's a good adventure you just rolled up. And then what do the players do? So this is an explanation for players, which again, I always love, like, if you're going to have a GM section, completely separate that from the player stuff. This player stuff, it might have been nice to have at the end of the player section, part of the GM section, but whatevs. Players have a very important job. First and foremost, they're there to play a game, be there to play the game in all respects. Be motivated, be present is what I say. Second, players need to be welcoming and respectful. Third, players need to remember that RPGs are a social game. They're playing together. Players are not there to win. They're not competing against each other. So don't monopolize the spotlight, all that kind of stuff. And finally, remember to have fun. So basically, like, it's this 2-page spread with like a cool dinosaur, like holding down his sunglasses. It basically says like, be nice, have fun, Don't be a dick. Like, that's basically what it says. The next thing we're going to get into, now this is probably my favorite spread. This actually has like all of the bad guys on it, and it has like that vampiric robot. It's got like the robot Kosmosaurs in the background and stuff. It's so good. So who are our enemies? You face many different enemies. This is really cool. So there's a bunch of different ones here, and they're very much they're not statted out or anything in the way specifically. It specifically talks about it here. It says, this section will detail a few enemies and factions that are more often than not involved, blah, blah, blah. Due to the simplicity of this game, there are very few mechanics involved in detailing the opponents, so we will detail their role in the setting of the game, excuse me, their possible goals, and the things they might be doing that will draw the attention. So this is more of like vibes and archetypes than it is any set mechanics, right? Because you don't need a ton of mechanics because you already know how to hit and defend, and you already know how much damage the bad guys do. So like you don't need a lot more than that. So going through this, we have the Robot Empire. Love the fucking robot dinosaur kind of like Godzilla situation happening. Yeah. We have the Void Soars, which are so I'll give you a brief of each one and then pick one that we can go over a little bit more deeply. So basically, the robots were created by the Kosmosaurs, and got pissed off that they were being treated like slaves, so they left and started their own empire. And now they want to kill everything because for their past like slavery as robots. The Void Soars are shadow counterparts of the Kosmosaurs, created by the Void Lords. They're basically void tainted Kosmosaur clones that want to kill all Kosmosaurs. There are the Undead Pirates, which are literally just a bunch of like space pirates that for some reason some of them are undead. And they do pirate shit at the behest of a Death Lord. There is the Slime Lords. It's all about that slime, right? And these are the shitty crime lord, kind of like the Hut situations. Like they're all about like bribery and politics and stuff like that. There are the Broccoloids, which, my God, my goodness,
it's Nazi
iconography. It's Nazi broccoli, which is weird because they're actually like rebels and stuff. When I read this, I was like, maybe they should have gone more Che Guevara and less Hitler.
Yeah, probably,
but they're very clearly wearing like a Nazi uniform, and it's very clearly a Nazi flag, but it's just made of pieces of broccoli in like almost like a peace sign instead of like a swastika, but like it's very clearly Nazi broccoli.
Definitely a weird one.
Yeah. So which one of those did you like the most?
Oh, I want to do the Void.
The Void Source?
There we go. The Void Source.
Yeah. Right. So, do you want to go over it or do you want me to go over it?
Oh, I think it's all you, buddy.
Okay. So, the Void Soars, as I said, they're the shadow counterparts of the Kosmosaurs. They were created a long time ago by a Void Lord. Yeah, no worries. And whose plans were foiled by the Kosmosaurs. And now the Void Soars are a group of highly trained Chaos Soldiers dedicated to undo order and sow discord. However, being clones of Kosmosaurs infused with pure chaos from the Void Dimension, they are highly disorganized and often at odds with one another. This reminds me so much of anyone out there that's listening. This reminds me so much of like dinosaur version of like post Horus Heresy traders in like the Eye of Terror that fight with themselves so much that they can barely get themselves together to fight the bad guy, but every now and then they can. So that's how they are. And if you look to the left, you'll see this kind of like void energy coming out of this like broken purple kind of like egg thing. But like the Void Sword at the top has like these tiny little arms. So you can tell he's like deformed, and he has like a weird like hand like wand. But so the way that all of the bad guys are laid out is you get a whole page spread of art. You get an explanation of who the characters are, and then you get themes. So the 4 themes listed here, sometimes there's more, but the 4 here are darkness, flawed copies, corrupting qualities, and overcoming yourself. That's the themes of these bad guys, right? And then you get what do they want and what are they doing, right? I think they all have that. What do they want and what are they doing? So it's 2d6 tables. So hit me with 2 different d6 rolls. One for what do they want? So what do these guys want?
3.
To cause chaos wherever they go, putting the many cultures against one another in a series of well-planned sabotages. That's a good one.
Yeah.
A lot of other ones on here that are good. To eliminate every last Cosmosaur from this reality once and for all. And then what are they doing? Hit me with another d6.
2.
Infiltrating a Cosmosaur's base and planting detonators to blow it up.
Nice.
It's cool. So they're voidy, they're chaosy, they hate Cosmosaurs. That's who you get. They might be my favorite as well. I mean, I'm gonna kind of stay away from the Broccoloids. It's funny, when I hit that page, I was like, I literally like hard paused for like a good 5 seconds and was like, why?
Yeah.
This,
I read this book, as I do often. I read them in an odd order sometimes, just kind of based on how I'm feeling. And so I actually read the end of this like first, but like a week and a half ago, and I totally blanked on it being back here.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot, this pages. But what's weird is, like I said, so it says a group of sentient plant people disgusted by other species' habit of eating them, eating their brethren. The Broccoloids are here to liberate their brothers and sisters and enact vengeance on the plant-eating barbarians that call themselves civilized. I'm like, dope, they're rebels. Why are they fascists? Like, it's just like a little, like I said, I wish he had like a beret on, you know, as opposed to like the, like, you know, like what he's got.
Standard fatigues with a red sash.
But yeah, I mean, someone in the chat just said, and I got to point it out, like every fucking page is soaked with art.
Yeah,
and
the art.
So, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a book filled with this much art. And yeah, Lucas, I'm going to say again, Kovalchuk, like this shit fucks so hard. Like every single piece just kills it. Even fascist broccoli, still is dope page. So, we're basically done. So how are enemies made? Enemies are made in this game but how are enemies made in this game and how to differentiate between them is a narrative-focused RPG. It's player-facing mechanics. What can you do? So enemies can be of 4 levels of difficulty, which I love this. There are minions, standard, elites, and bosses, right? They can possess special abilities. They're extremely easy to create on the fly. So minions are faceless soldiers. They're your fucking mooks. They do 1 damage and that's it, right? And 1 damage is enough to take them out. Standard bad guys have a little bit more training. They're a little bit more specialized. They have 3 damage to take them out. And depending on their gear and training, they may impose a difficulty of 1 to the PC's pool just by existing, kind of like basically saying they have like armor or some shit. They're the elites, which are highly trained. They have 6 damage to take them out. They normally impose a difficulty of 1 to all rolls against them, and they usually possess a special ability such as like flying, being immune to physical damage or something like that. And then bosses are the big bad guys. They're the lords of evil and pirate kings and death lords and whatnot. Star Goliath, it's 10 to 15 damage for each of them. They normally impose a difficulty of 2 to all rolls against them. Some might even have 3. And they always have a few, if not several special abilities as described above, like flying and stuff like that. They might also have multiple attacks and things like that. Super easy, really quick way to make a lot of bad guys. It's simple as the rest of the system. It's really great. And then we get to the character sheet, which would be, oh my god, this part is hyperlinked. I wonder if in the ebook there's more, but so all the way in the back there is the character sheet. It's 2 pages, and in this part, not the regular character sheet, it is actually labeled. So in the species section, there's like this green circle, then it goes over to the species section. It says species, page 10 on the side. And it is hyperlinked, except it doesn't go to page 10. It went to page 20.
Well, they tried.
Let's try one more. Roll goes to page 20, which is where it's supposed to go. The interests go to page 20. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say that like all of these hyperlinks... nope. They're all hyperlinks, but none of them are going to the right places. So at least they tried. But anyway... they're labeled with what page number they are and where to find the things. I really love that in the back of the book. So it gives you an example of the character sheet, and then tells you where you can find those. So like if you're looking through the character sheet, like, wait, what are we talking about? Like what they're good at, you find what they're good at on page 20. So that's cool. I like that. The sheet is really, really neat. It's a lot of big open spaces to write notes because this game is like very much more about like the vibes and stuff like that than it is about specific mechanics. A lot like the most mechanics you really have is like your attributes and then how many d6s you have plus or minus because of what's happening, and that's it. That's the entire game. In pages, and then the back has the text. So review scores.
Oh yeah, that's right. We review these things.
We review these things. That is right. We do quantify our terrible opinions in numbered metrics. There are 5 of them with a max of 10 points each. There is art and layout, which is visually what the book looks like. So the art in the book, quality, quantity, all that kind of stuff, and the visual layout of the book. Then we get to usability, which is hyperlinks, bookmarks, physical bookmarks, readability is things in the correct order in our opinion, things like that. Like how easy is it to use the book like at the table and stuff like that. There's a rule set. So if it's a new rule set, how do we like it? If it's an adapted rule set, is it well adapted? Originality in any or all of these things. Value is not just the cost of the thing, it's bang for your buck. What all do you get? You know, are there a million adventures? Is there a free companion app? All those kind of bullshit. Is there third-party licensing? You know, shit like that. So, starting with art and layout. My goodness, is there a lot of art?
There is a good amount of art in this.
Yeah.
The art's great. I mean, it's such a high point to this, and I do really like the layout.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's Guntijo, and again, he's like one of the best in the ttrpg scene doing this stuff, and he really incorporates the art extremely well into the layout. Does a lot of like word wrapping and stuff like that. Like has things in like one corner interacting with things in like the top other corner. So visually, yeah, game fucks like super hard. What are you thinking?
Oh, you know, I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't have any major like notes or complaints about the layout. I mean, there's a couple of like awkward spaces, but not really even that many.
Yeah. Well, I would say the only one that really bugs me is that one where like all of those tables are completely disjointed from like what it's just that one spread really that like stands out.
What
as just
are you
like
thinking?
I mean, it's not a 10. And I think that one spread, I'm probably like an 8. Like probably
I think
like
I'm
a pretty
about an
easy
8 as
8.
well.
Yeah.
Also, if you're listening along, you'll realize Ryan always tries to trick me into giving my opinion first. Always. What? And I don't know. There's no reason for it. So now I'm starting to flip it. I'm like, no, Ryan, you fucking pitch a number. God damn it.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's only been 177 episodes before you pointed that out.
I noticed it like 20 or 30 episodes ago. I've just kind of let it go, you know?
Yeah. All right. So, usability. I
mean, it's a very it neither shines in usability nor is it like unbelievably unuseful, you know?
Yeah. So you said that the ebook version at least has bookmarks, right?
Yeah.
It does in fact have bookmarks. So there, I would say like I guess there are theoretically hyperlinks. Let me see. Oh shit. So the ebook version, the index actually, that summary page is hyperlinked as well, and those actually go to, as far as I can tell, the correct pages. So, in the ebook version, there are hyperlinks, which is good. And then the character sheet in the back is hyperlinked, but they're all wrong. They're all wrong.
So funny, bro. Honestly, so hilarious.
So basically, almost all of the links on the first page take you to like page 20, like the beginning character creation, and almost all of the links in the second part take you to the ship page, which is just like a weird,
so close.
Is it? But they all say to page. No, they all say to page 25. Is that page 25? No, because that's page 25. It's to page 26. I mean, it's really close. So I'm gonna say they have hyperlinks. They do have bookmarks.
Yeah.
Most of the things are in a pretty good order. like I said, for the same reason, visually, that one page, I guess it's more of a usability than a layout visual thing for the previous score. But like that one page has the things that are missed. I do wish there's a couple spots that had like some more examples. There is a bookmark in the physical, so it's got an index. It's got Tri-Staff hyperlinks. It's got bookmarks. It's got a physical bookmark. So I mean, it's got the minimums for as far as our requirements go. I do think there are. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm between a 6 and a 7. I think I might be at a 7. I think it might be a little bit better than the 6, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about how like visually it's cool or whatever, but like as far as like actually using it, like because it's such a spread out book, it could be a much more condensed book. Like there's so little on each page, so you can really absorb the information well. For the most part, it's really well put together. Yeah, let's be nice and do a 7.
Yeah, I think so. I think I get what you're saying. My counterpoint to that is that there's a ton of stuff on every page. It's actually harder to find things sometimes, you know?
That's what, no, I was agreeing. I was saying that was a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying that was a good thing. That like,
yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Ryan.
Yeah, you're agreeing with me, all right? Listen, you're wrong. I agree with you. Rule set. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
I like this. I think it's fine. I think it's simple. I think it's like one of those games where there's a mechanic and they show you different ways in which to use the mechanic. And I think it does that successfully, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. I love, the Forged in the Dark aspects. I love mixed success across the board. It's like my favorite thing in TTRPGs because I love that in the rules nothing ever not happens, right? The dice pool thing is fun. I know you love dice pools more than I do, but I do really enjoy dice pools. Yeah. I love lasers and feelings. I love a dice pool mixed with lasers and feelings. I think that's a great concept.
Yeah, that's a pretty good concept.
Your damage is like 1, 2, or 3. Like you hit once, you take 1 or 2 hits. Like everything is like you either get 1 more dice or you lose a dice, and that's pretty much it across the board. It is super simple, but what's great about it is I think it is great for intro games. It's great for younger players. You know where else I think that this would shine like fucking crazy?
Prison.
Yes. Get more prisoners TTRPG books. That's actually a great thing to do. Yeah. And if you can, mail them something that has like a bunch of random dice rolls in it, because a lot of times they're not allowed to have dice. There's a cool thing on Spear Witch, like a whole book of just like random dice rolls. Anyway, I know that was a joke, but that's actually a good thing. Send prisoners to TTRPGs. Let's abolish prison system. Cons and stuff, something that like a quick easy game that people can like really latch onto and really like have fun being goofy with. Yeah. I think this would fuck at cons like crazy. So where are you thinking for this? I mean, so here's the thing.
What are you thinking for this, Ryan?
This is hard, right? In that like for zines we're a little bit more lenient about like judging it on its own merit, but in books it's kind of judged against like other games, right? So this is one of those games where I love its simplicity, but how do you give something super simple like a really high score compared to something that's like really complex but also really good, that has like so much more depth to it? So
for me, I wouldn't even necessarily say that complex gets a higher score. For me internally, I think it's more on how you use it. And while I really like this, I'm not necessarily like totally blown away by any one aspect of this rule set. So I think for me, this is like a solid 6.
Yeah. I mean, it's consistent. It's simple and it's consistent, and that's what I think is really shines. Is that like once you kind of learn like the basic role, you know how to play the entire game. And I wasn't saying like not complex for the sake of complexity, but I mean more like the depth in the rule system. Like this is a very shallow system, and that's not a bad thing because again, like the simplicity is very elegant, and it is very clean and very consistent, which is great to have in a rule set. But compared to something like Kingdoms, which has like it's the fucking Marianas Trench comparatively. I love Kingdoms, damn it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm between a 6 and 7 because I do think it's really good for what it does. It's just comparatively.
You call it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other games we've given 7s to, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 7.
It doesn't matter. It's our opinion. Fuck you guys. You guys come up with us and we're like, well, you gave this game a 7 and it's better. I'll be like, I'll hang up the call.
I give it a
block
6.
you.
Because again, like it's great, but it's super simple.
Yeah,
it basically
I do think
has like
6
one
is more
mechanic.
appropriate score for it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well,
Listen,
I think
stick up
this
for yourself, then,
fun,
man.
You know,
stick up for yourself. Originality. Okay, I love it. I think that the only other time I've really seen like Saturday morning cartoon shit is
Blister Critters.
Blister Critters. Yeah.
I knew immediately because when I started reading this, I was like, oh, this is like the other end of like the Saturday morning cartoon thing. It's different, like in pretty much every single way, but it does like aim for a very another niche in that kind of space, you know?
Yeah. Blister Critters definitely leans more towards like the, I don't know, your Ren and Stimpy's a little bit versus this, which leans more towards your Street Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, there's not a ton of these like Saturday morning cartoon kind of like fun.
The system
goofy...
isn't wholly original, you know?
No, it's not at all. It's lasers and feelings. It's a Forts of the Dark Lasers and Feelings game, which is fine.
Which is great. But yeah, I think this is really cool. This one, I think I'm still about a 7.
Yeah, I think 7 is really good for that. I do think there's a really solid amount of, not only in that, but like a lot of the originality in like a lot of the tables are really fantastic and really well put together, and there's a lot of really fun, interesting, cool things in that. I think they're really good. And then value-wise, okay, so on itch, it's a $15 PDF, but there will always be community copies. It says, I released Kosmosaurs earlier than planned in an attempt to offset some of the loss I had when I got mugged and lost my cell phone where I do most of my work. And in about 24 hours, this community showered me with kindness and generosity I never expected. There will always be community copies of this game for anyone who wants one. Thank you. I will never forget this. And then there's like 999,192 copies. So theoretically free, but a community copy, don't forget, is, you know, a little bit different because of what they just said, what Diogo just said, but it's $15 PDF. If you can support it, if you can afford it, pay the man for the cool game that he made. On Exalted Funeral, it is $30 for the book and the PDF, and for the PDF only, it's $15. But then at that point, just get the one from the itch page, because then you also get character sheets and stuff too. Print friendly one, a color one, everything. So $15 for a PDF for a 70+ page book, great deal. $30 for this nice print, like nice book. I think it's a decent deal. There's not any content outside of the game, but there's a lot of, obviously there's like a limitless number of adventures. I mean, when you mix and match like 6 D66 tables together, you have a limitless. So doesn't blow me away. I'm not going to call this a quote unquote free game, because if you can afford it, you still pay for it. I'm probably, what are you at for value on this then?
I don't know, make a call.
Probably like a 6. I mean, it's just, if the game is an okay price, and that's about all you get.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
Okay. So 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 7 plus 6 equals 34. That feels good to me.
Yeah, I like the appropriate taste for this.
Yeah. I think it's a really fun, interesting game. And don't forget, this is our opinions, right? And for us, even though I like the intro nature of it, and I like the simplicity of it, and it's a mix of like some fun games that I enjoy, I do think this shines for intro players, for younger audiences and things like that, which is not necessarily like, we are not the target audience for it, but the art is fucking amazing. The rules are super simple. If you're newer to TTRPGs, if you have like a younger niece or nephew that wants to get into games, I think this is fucking perfect. And I would play the hell out of this if someone was like, I'm gonna run some Kosmosaurs. Marco, run some Kosmosaurs. I would play it. Go buy it. Support Diogo. They do amazing fucking work. Primal Quest is amazing. I just got Feral, which dropped on Exalted, which is I think solo expansion stuff for Primal Quest. So back everything that they do over at Old School Publishing. Buy the book of their Exalted Funeral. Check out their itch page. It is DIOGO-OLD-SKULL, DiogoOldSkull.itch.io for all the rest of their stuff as well. That is us, Kosmosaurs 34. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. Hunter, wonderful as always.
Great job, Ryan.
And we will see you next week. We're going to continue with the space theme. I'm rocking my space shirt from Lone Archivist.
Very cool space shirt.
Next week, we're supposed to do the Alien RPG. So we'll see how that kind of compares in the horror sense to Mothership.
Oh yeah, that'll be sick.
Yeah. And then the following Sunday, we have another AP. I believe Hunter's going to be sitting out for that one. We're going to have a lot of new people. We're going to have Chris Ariu, big name in the Mothership space. Some great stuff going on in Mothership Month, which I'll talk to you about with our next plan with that. Cool. We have Marco coming on. We have Christian Sorrell coming on. We have a guest player that I'm not going to tell anyone about. Coming on.
Christ.
We'll have it is literally Jesus Christ. But it's a baby Jesus. You know.
Perfect. The specifically
separate different one. Yeah. So those are the things coming up, and we're going to continue doing space themed adventures through space theme reviews through the rest of the month. Alien RPG, and then I think one, maybe two more after that. So that's what's coming up. That's our episode. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.